So very quickly, I represent a kind of a mutant organization which works on urban research. And for the past 10 years or so, we've been kind of looking at the emerging urban conditions. I mean, it's difficult to talk of cities or rural places or areas or as bounded entities anymore. So we call them urban conditions or urban-like conditions which emerge. Mobility means movement of people, movement of classes, movement of various things. Maybe basically navigation within city. So if we look at the idea of future, the idea of future historically has trapped in broadly in two paradigms. One is that of the apocalypse, the crisis, and the other is a trap of the high tech. I mean, this is the two broad imagination which are mobilized to think of the future of any, including the urban. The left hand one is the classical map, which is in currency even today. This whole idea of how the city takes over land, and these dots keep on increasing over. I mean, they've increased over the last 50 years, and this is the imagination of urbanization that one starts thinking about. Urbanization, as if the city is taking over. There's a whole idea of cities taking over. I want to contend this, and I want to kind of say that the urbanization is far more interactive process. It is as much as about ruralization as much as it is about urbanization. There is an interaction. There are people coming from cities, and these kind of this dotted imagination of urbanization is probably not the way to think of it, because it kind of results into the right hand side, which talks about the urban crisis, that so many people will really start living in cities. Therefore, you need so much more infrastructure, and therefore pump in infrastructure, and therefore investment, and therefore consultant, and therefore everything else. So this is the linear, straightforward story that one hears, and it is the story which most countries, and including ours, have kind of followed. I mean, we are not the only people who are talking of future of cities. I mean, there are departments, there are studies, there are all kinds of things in the last 5 years which have proliferated in the area of future. And I believe this decade has been the decade of future and environment. So it's happening all over, that everybody is talking of future. I want to look at this very specific project that we did a study on, looking at specific conditions of future in Mumbai. So what we did was, basically we looked at 9 places across the city, and what we did was we kind of tried to project what would be the future of each of these places. For example, so the colonial core of Bombay, which is at the southernmost tip, which is the extreme left corner of a bottom corner of the map, may become an extremely informalized place, or it might change completely, as Professor Dalvi was showing, into this high-tech place, or it can be even a conservation, tourism intensive place. And if you look at each of these places have the potential of becoming, multiple. So from 9 you have 80 futures. So what I'm trying to say is that the future can be many, depending upon who is imagining it, and how it is imagined, and how it is kind of how it gets worked out. So there are many futures, and the whole idea that there could be many futures, and that is a promise, actually, the city provides, that everybody can imagine their own future. Broadly, if you look at these many futures, you see four broad trends. One clearly, and I'm talking of Bombay specifically. one clearly is the trajectory of very high polarization. Now, what do I mean by it? This is something which Professor Dalvi alluded to earlier. Basically, this is Bombay, and this looks absolutely messy and very, congested and all of that. Now, if you look at this, if you look at the street of the of any street in Mumbai, you'll see, the property line is at behind you, which is the line of the building. In front of that, there is another shop, and then there is a shop which is 1 foot inside the building and 1 foot outside the building. Then there is a shop on the street, and each one of them have a relationship with each other. What it does is this mess, which appears to be mess, actually is high transactions, is what lends the city its nature. It is this transactional capacity of this form which makes the city. And this you see across Mumbai. You find this 1 foot shop, this shop within shop, this kind of mixing of various functions which tend to be which is the logic of the city. This is very interesting. This is the center of Mumbai, and you'll find this amazing 4-storied vertical neighborhood. Bottom story is is a shop in the front. Behind is a shop which kind of puts which rents utensils for functions. Above it is a layer of jerry making industry. Above it is on the left hand side is the dormitory for the jerry workers. On the right hand side it's a library. Above it is a residence, and then there is also a mosque and a community space on the right. And the whole thing is packed into one vertical neighborhood, and it exists in the city, and it is there. The ideas of vertical neighborhood have been in currency since last 40 years, but this is something which exists in the city. Now, what is happening to all these neighborhoods that I'm talking about is this. You tend to kind of change these older neighborhoods into more formal entities. And when you do that, what happens is, this is something which Professor Dalvi also showed. These neighborhoods kind of, in the background you see these tall high-rises coming, and you see it happening across the city, and then this turns into this. Now, the argument I want to make is this, and this is very important, that when the amount of blur decreases, and the built form, the form of the city becomes more clear, the transactional capacity of the city decreases. And this particular with reference to Mumbai, and particularly with reference to cities which are unequal, in their characteristics at the moment. And you see this, this is an argument that I want to make. There's a relationship between of form with respect to the transactional capacity and the resources that it includes. Clearer the form, you have higher resources and lesser of transactional capacity. And this you see, and this is what we call it as polarization. The second trajectory is the trajectory of economics restructuring. You'll see that in Bombay, no new business is coming to Bombay. And this is very, very, very clear. The commercial land price is decreasing. And over and above, there is a context where you don't need proximity of commercial space. So in this picture, you see that the classical traditional idea of economically driving city doesn't exist. It's something else which is going to drive the city in the next 20 years. The third trajectory, and everybody has spoken about it, is the trajectory of environment crisis. And the sea level rising, shortage of open spaces, and all of that put together, and there is a very clear emerging idea of environment crisis. And the fourth trajectory is actual aging. Sorry, yeah. So you see that basically in these large cities, including Bombay, there is no increase of population in the last 10 years. So you see what you are potentially looking at is, you're potentially looking at a city in the next 20 years with average age of 50 to 55 years, which is a potentially aging city in the real sense. It's a city of the old. So you have these broadly four ideas, urban space creating polarizations, economy which is looking at a completely different, not commercial based economy, environment which is kind of in a crisis, and demography which is talking of old age. So this project went on to kind of develop very specific strategic tools, looking at what do you do with the senior city? What do you do in terms of retrofitting old settlements? What do you do with new enterprises that might emerge as a result of this? So these are the various kinds of opportunities that this project created, and then it kind of produced these 80 projects, which were not about these large infrastructure, but very strategic kind of possibilities. So just the last slide to conclude. I think there is a need to kind of move away from the apocalypse high-tech ideas into conceptualizing the urban processes and practices through the nuances and mechanics. To think of urbanization, to move away from thinking of urbanization as a predatory process to thinking of it as more of an interactive process between the city and its outside. To move away from quick conceptualizations to a long-term research-based conceptualization, and to move away from these binaries which have ruled for the last 10 years, binaries of centralization, decentralizations, livelihood against environment, open spaces against housing, discussions on infrastructure shortages, provisions, control of space and resource. To move away from this and look at it slightly more through the idea of networked space, connected space, and to look at how is it possible to minimize disruptions into already settled environment. Allow for what works in unequal conditions, and develop the idea of future of urbanization. And I think it's also necessary that we move a little bit beyond the national thinking and look at thinking at city level or neighborhood level. Thank you so much.